Hi, this is part 2 of section 2.1. Let's start with example 2. We have a New York taxi cab driver that charges an initial fee of $2.50 and thereafter 50 cents per mile. We need to write a model that expresses the total charge T for driving X miles. Notice that this is a linear equation because our rate of change is constant. So our rate of change here is 50 cents per mile. That charge is not going to change. We're always going to be charged 50 cents per mile. Therefore, we have a linear equation. Now recall that an equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. And to find that equation, we need two things, a slope and a point. Now, because they are asking us to write the model as a function, instead of writing y equals mx plus b, I'm going to write t of x is equal to mx plus b. Now, we need our m, which is our slope, and we need our b, which is our y-intercept. So let's go ahead and see if we can find our slope. Well, we said that the slope of a line is also called the rate of change, and we already know that our rate of change is 50 cents per mile. I'm not going to write over 1 because we need to always write it in the most reduced form. We also know our y-intercept because x represents the miles in New York here. X represents the number of miles we've driven in the taxi cab. And y-intercept is when x equals 0. We know that for 0 miles, our y-intercept is 250. In other words, if we just get in the taxi cab and we haven't driven anywhere, all we did was sit down, we've already been charged $2.50 and we haven't driven any miles. We've driven 0 miles. Therefore, our y-intercept is 0, 2.50, where b is our, or 250 is our b. So b is our 250. Okay. Now we're ready to write the function with our slope and our y-intercept. And that is part A. For part B, it says, if you ride in the taxi cab for 37.5 miles, what will be your charge? In this case, we need to figure out if they're giving us the x value or the y value. Well, what do you think? Does x represent miles or does it represent charge? Okay, so since x represents miles, we are given x. All we have to do here is plug this x value into our function. And I'm going to highlight that so you could see where it's at. That's our function. Equals 0.50 times 37.5 plus 2.50, which is equal to, I should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't. I'm plugging it into my calculator right now, and you should have gotten 21.50. So the total charge for driving 37.5 miles in a taxi cab is $21.50. Now for C, you are given the amount of dollars. Therefore, the 42 represents our T of X or our Y. So we're going to write that T of X, and we're looking for X now, is equal to 42. And we're just going to plug it in for our y value, in this case t of x. And as you can see, I am running out of space. Make this a little smaller so I can finish the problem. Okay. All right, so we're going to subtract both sides by the 250. And that gives us, so 42 minus the 250 is 39.50. And then divide both sides by 0.50. And that gives us our x value, which is 79. So if we only have $42, we can drive 79 miles. We can drive in the taxi cab for 79 miles. And one more question I added there, and that is, what's the implied domain of t? So linear functions have a domain of negative infinity to positive infinity. They're not undefined anywhere, but when we're dealing with real life situations, such as this one, there is an implied domain because, for example, if t is the total charge, a taxi cab driver is not going to charge you -$. Therefore, t has to be positive. Therefore, there is an implied domain here. And in this case, can you guess what our implied domain is? Well, if just for getting inside the taxi cab, we are being charged $2.50, we are going to start there. I'm actually, sorry, I'm going to write D up here just because I don't have a lot of space. I apologize for the mess. Okay, so we are starting, our lowest x value that we can have is, remember that the domain are the x values. So that's the smallest charge. So technically, I guess we could drive for 0 miles. We still have to pay. And then infinity, I know we're not going to drive for infinity miles, but we could drive as long as we want if we have the money. Now, I didn't ask for a range, but just for fun, what do you think the implied range is? Well, if we just get in the car, we're going to be charged $2.50. And then from there, depending how far we drive, they'll charge us more. And stay tuned for part 3.